Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. This picture in the style of visual art is a classic still life study. It doesn't need a lot of resources, just one light, but can be tricky to set up properly. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so this is what I've got set up so far. I have this table, and at the back of this table I have a piece of wood, and on the piece of wood I've put this empty wine bottle. Now the idea of the picture is to use this wine glass, which is half full of water, just in front of the bottle, so that the half with the water in it will refract the image of the bottle, in effect reversing it. And this makes quite a nice little graphic. So the first thing to do is to set up the rest of the set, if you like. So to light this, I'm going to light it from behind, and I'm going to put a piece of 216 diffusion material between the light and the subject. So for the light I'm going to use this continuous LED. This is about 200 watts. There we go. I'm just going to place it on this stool, like that. Now I'm putting it here so that it's at a slightly lower level than the bottle. Now I'm using this continuous light, but you can do this just with a normal speed light or a studio flash, whatever you have really. And this light is about a meter from the back of the bottle, so it's relatively close. Okay, so to set up the screen at the back here, I'm just going to use a C-stand. Just pop the arm up, that. And on the C-stand, like I said, I'm just going to use some 216 diffusion filter material. So just pop that on the stand like that. There. So this is quite close to the bottle, and that's quite important. You want to have the bottle relatively close to the screen at the back here, and then when the glass goes in front of it, you'll end up with a nice graduation across the glass. Okay, so with all that set, what I'm going to do is turn the light on at the back here. Now just to add a little bit of foreground interest, what I'm going to do is put a tile on the table here. Just going to pop that in position, like that, and place the glass around here somewhere. Now if you get the glass too close to the bottle, the refraction within the glass won't be sharp. If you actually get it too far away, it won't be sharp because it won't be in focus. Your camera only has so much depth of field. Okay, so that's more or less there. I'll just stick another couple of pieces of slate either side. Right, so with all that in place, the next thing to do would be to set up the camera. Now I'm going to put that on a tripod, which will make it a little easier to repeat the image. Which you will need to do, almost certainly, as it can be quite difficult to get all this in position. There we go. So with the tripod in place, it just remains to put the camera on the top. Now I usually use a full frame digital camera, but I've been loaned a medium format digital camera for this particular shoot. So I'm going to pop this on the top of the tripod. Now this is a true medium format camera, so on the front of this is an 80mm lens, and that's roughly the equivalent of a 50mm lens on a full frame camera. Okay, so with that in place, what I can do now is just plug this in to Capture One software, and that can control the camera. Okay, so the software has recognized the camera, and these are the settings that I have on the camera at the moment. So it has 100 ISO as the sensitivity, a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second, and an aperture of f8. So just with those settings, what I'm going to do is just grab an image and we'll see what we get. And there we go, straight away you can see that this is a little overexposed, so I need to alter the settings. So what I'm going to do is just change the shutter speed from 1/30th of a second, and I'll change that to maybe a 60th. So that's one stop change. So we'll just grab that again and see what we get this time. So this still looks a little overexposed to me, so I'm going to take it down by yet another full stop. So 1/60th will become 125th. That's about a full stop. Let's grab that again. Okay, so this is getting very close now. I think it is still slightly over, so I might just change that shutter speed again, and we'll just take it up to a 200th and see what it's like now. There we are, that seems to have got there. I think that's close to the right sort of exposure now. One of the other things that I just will do is just recalibrate this system for grey. So I know that the background there should be grey. So what I'm going to do is just use the software just to set this as a grey point, like so. There we are. So with that done, the next thing to do would be to get the glass in exactly the right position. As you can see from here, it's not quite there. So what I need to do is just very carefully move the glass just a little bit over to one side like that. You'd be surprised just how small a movement you actually need to make this in the right place. Okay, let's grab that again. So that's nearly there. I just think I've gone slightly too far. So I'll just bring it back ever so slightly. It's a very small movement. Just like that. We'll grab that again. There we are. So that's got it almost in line. You can see now that it follows on from the line of the bottle right through the glass. So if I now just zoom in a little, we can check the focus. The focus looks pretty good. I can see that I've got some highlights here from the house lights in the studio. So what I'll need to do when I come to take the proper picture is just turn the house lights out. But for the time being, I can leave everything on. Okay. I also see that the bottle here is slightly out of focus. I think it's slightly too far out of focus. So what I'm going to do is adjust the aperture to give me a bigger depth of field. So at the moment I have an aperture of f8, and I'm going to take that to what, f16? Yes, we'll see what that looks like. Now that's a two-stop change, so to compensate for that, I'm going to change the shutter speed from 1/200th of a second to 1/50th of a second. There we go. So that should give me the same exposure, but a bigger depth of field. There, that's better. This is what we had before, like so. And this is what we've got now. It's a very small change, but it's worth doing, I think. Okay, so at this stage it's probably worth just demonstrating what happens if I move the glass too far in front of the bottle. So if I just move it up here, for instance, like that, I'll try and keep it something like in line. We just grab that again. There. Now it's obviously not quite in line, but you have now a bigger gap at this side. So this is where we were before, so the gap is relatively small, and this is where we are now. And that is caused because the glass is further away from the background, and it's the background which is causing the image within the glass. So let's just pop that back in position, and I might actually just move the whole thing ever so slightly further back. There we are. So hopefully I've got that still in something like the right position, but now a lot closer. There we are. So that has worked quite well. So this is what we had before with the glass too far in front, and this is what I've got now with the glass closer to the bottle. And with that, I'll turn the house lights out and we can take the final photograph. There we go. So with the house lights out, I'll just grab that again. There we are, and you can see now that the highlights in the bottom of the glass have disappeared. If I just zoom in, this is what we had before, and these are the highlights in the bottom of the glass, and this is what we've got now. So they've all gone. Okay, so with that all now captured, what I'm going to do is go into Photoshop and just do the bare minimum of post-production. Okay, so here I am in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the file of the image that I captured earlier. So the first thing that I want to do is just make a duplicate of this file so that I can edit the duplicate and then leave the original, and that will give me redundancy as I will always have the original to go back to. So the way that I prefer to do that is just to go onto the layer here and right click the mouse and just ask for a duplicate layer. But I'll ask for a new document, and we'll just call this wine glass. There we go. So now I have a new document at the top here, so I can dispense with the camera original. Okay, so if I just zoom into the image here, one of the first things I want to do, I get to 100%. Don't forget this was a medium format camera, so it's an 80 megapixel file, quite large. I've got a reflection here, which is obviously something in the studio. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of that. I'll take a few of the blemishes off the glass at the same time. So the easy way to do that is just with the spot healing tool. So I'll just click on that, and we'll just make the brush a little bigger. There we go. And I can just use that just to get rid of these little blemishes, like so. I should be able to use it for the bigger one as well. There we are. Good. So with that done, I can just zoom back out to the full image. Okay, so with those few minor changes completed, what I'm going to do now is just select a crop. So I'm using the cropping tool. I'm just going to pick a specific ratio since I'm using this for video. So I'm using 16:9. I'm just going to concentrate the image slightly and just move that down. I'll just center it. Maybe concentrate that a little more. There, I think that looks quite nice. So there we have it. A classic visual art still life study. The real trick to images like this is the attention to detail, just to make sure that everything lines up properly and is properly focused. And I think the final result speaks for itself. It's quite a nice image. Okay, well I hope you liked watching how I made that picture, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.